Your perfectionism is literally pushing people away from you. And I don't mean that as an insult. I mean it as something most people never figure out until it's too late. See, it's not that you care too much or that your standards are too high. It's that the way perfectionism shows up around other people creates this invisible wall that even you can't see. And once you understand the psychology behind it, you can keep everything that makes you driven and sharp and just quietly drop the one thing that's been costing you real connection. Okay, so picture someone in your life, or maybe this is you. Let's call her Lena. Lena sends the most thoughtful emails. Her apartment's spotless. She's never late. She corrects small errors in conversations, not to embarrass anyone, just because accuracy matters to her. She genuinely cares about doing things right. And yet, people seem tired around her. Conversations feel a little stiff. Friends cancel with vague excuses. Colleagues don't invite her to casual lunches. And Lena is sitting there thinking, what am I doing wrong? She's not doing anything wrong. She's doing everything right. And that, honestly, is the whole problem. Here's the first thing psychology tells us about this, and I found this kind of mind-blowing when I first came across it. Human beings don't connect through shared success. They don't bond over admiration. They connect through shared vulnerability, through that quiet, unspoken recognition that we're all, at some level, a little bit of a mess. So when someone appears to have no mess, no cracks, no fumbles, the brain of the person sitting across from them doesn't respond with admiration. It responds with disconnection. There's actually a name for this. Psychologist Elliot Aronson studied it in the 1960s. He called it the Pratfall Effect. He found that highly competent people who never made mistakes were actually liked less than highly competent people who occasionally spilled their coffee or stumbled over a word. The small imperfection made them human, and humans connect with humans, not with performances of perfection. So here's the reframe, and sit with this one. Your standards aren't the problem. The invisible wall that perfection builds between you and other people, that's the problem. And the moment you let someone see you struggle, even just slightly, you're not becoming weaker, you're becoming more magnetic. Now, here's something that almost nobody talks about, and it goes a little deeper. When you hold yourself to very high standards, and honestly, that's not a flaw, that's a kind of care, you'll eventually start to hold others to those same standards, even if you never say it out loud. Not on purpose, just automatically. And research in social psychology shows that people are remarkably good at picking up on unspoken expectations. They sense when they're being quietly evaluated. They feel the tension of trying to meet a standard they can't quite see, but somehow know is there. Being around a perfectionist, even a kind, well-meaning one, starts to feel like a low-grade performance review. Exhausting. People don't pull back because they don't like you. They pull back because they need to feel safe being ordinary in someone's company. Think about the last time you were around someone who seemed to have everything together. Did you feel relaxed, or did you feel like you needed to sit up a little straighter? That feeling? That's what your friends might be experiencing around you. The reframe here is genuinely powerful. When you consciously stop silently grading the people around you, not lowering your respect for them, just dropping the invisible scorecard, you create space. And in that space, people breathe. They laugh more. They stay longer. They actually enjoy being around you. Your high standards can still exist for yourself. You just have to stop accidentally exporting them. Okay, this next one took me a while to really get. Perfectionism at its root is often an act of love. It genuinely comes from caring about quality, about people, about outcomes. But love communicated through relentless correction, even gentle, well-meaning correction, starts to feel less like care and more like criticism. And here's the psychology behind that. People are far more sensitive to critical feedback than they are motivated by it. Studies in behavioral psychology show that the brain processes critical feedback in the same region that processes social pain. Being corrected activates the same neural pathway as being rejected. So when you fix someone's grammar mid-sentence, or redo a task they finished because it wasn't quite right, or gently point out the flaw in their plan, what you experience as helpfulness, they experience as a small rejection. Not dramatic, but it accumulates. Honestly, I used to do this. Small corrections, always framed as helpful, and I genuinely meant them that way. What I didn't realize was that every single correction was also saying, subtly, you got it wrong. And nobody wants to spend time with someone who, even lovingly, keeps reminding them that they got it wrong. The fix is surprisingly simple and kind of freeing. Just ask yourself before you correct something whether it actually needs to be said at all. Most of the time, the answer is no. And in that silence, the relationship breathes. There's also something psychologists call the comparison trap, and perfectionists fall into it in a really specific, sneaky way. Not the obvious version, where you look at others and feel inadequate, the reverse version, where your visible standards make other people compare themselves to you and feel inadequate around you. Research shows that social comparison is largely automatic and involuntary. We do it without deciding to do it. And when someone in your life consistently produces beautiful work, keeps their composure, never seems to struggle, never admits to failing, that person becomes an unintentional mirror that shows everyone else what they're not. And it's lonely for both people because the perfectionist has no idea this is happening. They're not showing off, they're just being themselves. But the distance it creates is real, and it builds quietly over time. Here's the reframe, and this one really matters. Sharing your struggles isn't weakness, it's an invitation. When you tell someone, honestly, that something was hard for you, that you failed at something, that you're figuring it out as you go, you step down from the pedestal that everyone's been quietly resenting, and you just sit next to them. And people will love you for it. They'll feel closer to you in one moment of honest struggle than in 100 moments of polished success. Crazy, right? And then there's this last one, which might actually be the most important. Perfectionism, over time, can quietly train the people around you to feel like they can never fully relax. Because when someone in a friendship, a relationship, a team always does everything right, the unspoken pressure becomes unbearable. There's a concept in relationship psychology called co-regulation. It basically means we regulate our emotional states partly through the people we're close to. When someone around us is calm, we calm down. When someone's tense, we tense up. And perfectionism, even when it looks calm on the outside, often carries an invisible tension underneath, the tension of things needing to be a certain way. And the people around you absorb that tension without even knowing it. So the question worth sitting with is, do the people in your life feel more relaxed when they're with you, or more alert, more themselves, or more careful? This isn't about blame, it's just information. And information, when you're willing to look at it honestly, is where everything starts to shift. And there's one more layer to this that I think is worth naming, because it's the one that tends to hit the hardest. A lot of perfectionists don't just fear getting things wrong, they fear being truly known. Because if you let people see the real, unfiltered version of you, the version that doubts, that stumbles, that sometimes has no idea what they're doing, then their opinion of you becomes real. And real opinions can hurt. So perfectionism, in a strange way, becomes a kind of armor. Keep everything polished enough, keep enough distance, and you never have to find out whether someone would actually love the messy version of you. But here's the painful irony. The armor that protects you from rejection is the exact thing guaranteeing you'll never feel fully accepted. Because people can't connect with armor. They can only connect with the person underneath it. And the terrifying, beautiful truth is most people, when they finally see that unguarded version of you, don't run, they lean in. Because they recognize it. It looks exactly like them. So here's where all of this lands. Your drive for perfection isn't your enemy. It's evidence of someone who cares deeply, thinks carefully, and takes the world seriously. That's rare. That's actually beautiful. But connection, real connection, lives in the imperfect spaces, in the laugh about the mistake, in the admission that you don't have it all figured out, in the moment where you let someone else's work be good enough without quietly wishing it were better. Remember Lena? Eventually, she figured this out, not by lowering her standards, but by loosening her grip on them in the presence of other people. She started leaving small things unsaid. She started sharing the moments where she was genuinely unsure. She laughed at herself a little more. And slowly, something shifted. People started gravitating toward her instead of pulling back. The same qualities that had been building walls were still there. They just felt like strength instead of pressure. You don't have to become a different person. You just have to become a more visible one. Let people see the full version of you, the one who cares deeply and sometimes gets it wrong. That version is so much easier to love because nobody's looking for someone perfect to admire from a distance. They're looking for someone real to walk alongside. If something in this landed for you, just sit with it for a second. You don't have to change everything at once. Just notice this week one moment where you let something be imperfect, one moment where you choose connection over correction, and see what happens. And if you want more honest, grounded conversations about the psychology behind how we show up in the world, subscribe. There's a lot more where this came from.